This is Tell Me Your Radio Story, where I talk to radio professionals. I want to find out how they started, what their journey was like, and where they are now. My name is Dan Blackman. Thank you for joining. And man, she is definitely the queen of Philadelphia. She's middays on WDAS. Forever and a day she's been there. She'll tell you how long. Her name is Patty Jackson. Welcome, Patty.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being on.
This is an honor and a pleasure. Just listening to you for years. Your voice is awesome, and I'm so glad that you're doing this podcasting thing.
Well, I appreciate it. It's interesting. All the other guests I've had, and you've probably felt the same way about radio. You hear people and you've never meet them, and finally you get to meet them. And we didn't work at the same station, but we worked for the same company in
Yes.
Philadelphia. And
hmm
I approached you. I didn't know if you knew who I was, and you're like, I know who you are, and I'm honored that you did. And we had great conversation. So I thought I got to get you on my podcast because you have a great story. So tell me that radio story. How did it all begin for Patty Jackson?
It all started for me 39 years ago. I was destined to be in front of a microphone. I was the little girl in church that read the church poems. I was the high school announcer. They would let us play one song. This is at the beginning of hip hop. So we would
Nice.
play one song, like a Curtis Blow, and then I would give the announcements for the day. I was also the basketball announcer. I was just literally always in front of a microphone. And I just had this fascination for radio. I was in love with 98 WCAU, Hot Hits FM, with he used to talk real fast. Terry, is it Terry?
Terry Motormouth.
The Motor Mouth,
Yeah.
all of those DJs, and I loved music. My parents would always play it. I loved music, and I also loved pop culture. So it was just a natural thing. I graduated from high school, South Philly High Motivation in 1981. And I was on the radio 6 months later. I went to one of those broadcasting schools, Dan, that said you could be a radio star. It was the American Academy of Broadcasting,
I remember that.
833 Chestnut Street. And I actually did it. I got an internship at a radio station in Camden, New Jersey. And I would call every day and talk to the receptionist. And finally, I guess she says, okay, I'm going to let you talk to the program director. And she put me in touch. But this is the funny part. I told you I used to do the announcements in church.
Yeah.
Well, my pastor lived around the corner from the man who owned WSSJ at that time. And
Wow.
he told him, she does the announcements at my church. You should put her on the radio. Now, that's not a qualification, but my pastor believed in me, and I was able to start an internship, and they didn't know how old I was.
That's interesting. You don't have a Philly accent at all. You
I
know.
did. I
Yeah.
went to speech. Sam Clover,
Yeah.
remember Shadow Traffic? Sam Clover used to be my speech.
Yeah.
He would say, look, you talk South Philly when you're at home, but when you're on the radio, it's something totally different. So that's why, because I had speech for like a couple of years.
So SSJ was at an AM station or an
It was
FM
an
station,
AM station, 1310 on the 18th floor of Camden City Hall.
and they played all different types of music, or they had a format,
Everything.
or
I played Elvis. I played Frank Sinatra because the general manager at the time, and it switched formats because I started doing news. And my mom was like really disappointed. She wanted me to be a newscaster.
really.
But when new owners came in, he said, you really have the personality of a DJ. And he loved Frank Sinatra. So I would do the Frank Sinatra hour. I literally played it all. I learned every aspect of news. I covered stories. I jocked. I changed the printer on the AP machines. You name it, I did it. The very first national person that I interviewed. Do you remember when Gary Hart ran for president
Yeah, I do.
and he got involved in a little scandal?
Yes.
I interviewed him. He was my
Nice.
first big national interview.
Hey, your mom is probably proud because you use those news skills with your 411 that you do on the
Yes,
air now and all
yes,
that stuff. So
yes.
it all worked
So
out.
that's how it started.
Yeah.
I there was at the time WXTU before they turned country. They were this brand of urban. It was really a disaster. But I heard that they had the receptionist on Saturday nights at midnight. And me, I called, I said, well, if you got the receptionist on, you could put me on.
Yeah.
And I started doing Saturday night overnights there. And then they switched formats and went to country. Well, Dan, I would be a fool to not do it because it was country music. So I stayed, I played country music, I learned so much. I was also the producer of the Villanova basketball games in that great year they won. That night, was it
19,
1984 championship?
1985.
I was the producer of the Villanova basketball game for the Connecticut Radio Network.
That's awesome. So 92, this was after they were Wi-Fi, that
Yeah,
format,
after that
and then it was
whole
before
thing.
country, and
Yes.
they did that. So
Yeah.
I'm learning something new about you. I didn't know that you were this big basketball fan.
Yes, I love sports. I love sports, but it was a way they needed somebody to produce the game. So I produced the basketball games, and then I would go and do my shift playing country music. I learned how to talk in 13 seconds in a jingle. It was really excellent training. It may not have been the coolest, amongst my friends, I'm
Yeah,
playing country music, but I learned so much.
I hear you. So I don't know. I'll stand up and say I'm a Seton Hall guy, but
Okay.
I love Villanova because whoever from the Big East
Yeah.
is in the final, and
Yeah.
1985, I was rooting for them,
Yes.
and that was just a tremendous. Oh my God! And I knew some people that went to Villanova, so it was unbelievable. So how long were you at XTU then?
I was at XTU for about 2 years, and there was a party for Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger had a solo album out. They had a party for him in Center City, and I went with friends, and Jeff Wyatt was in charge of Power 99. And I walked up to him, and I didn't think that he remembered me. I thought I was bothering him, and I'm like, my name is Patty Jackson. I work at WXTU. I play country music. And of course, Dan, he looks at me like, yeah, right. You're this black girl and you're playing country music. So he kind of like blew me off. Well, lo and behold, a few months later, he called me and he said, I'm listening to you. I can't believe you're black.
Really?
He says, and you're playing country music. And I said, yeah. I said, I love country music. And Dan, this was the real country.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Patsy Cline, George Strait. I mean, it wasn't like the pop flavored country that you hear today. I was Willie Nelson, Lee Greenwood. I was playing those type artists. So he offered me a job to come over Power 99 and do weekends.
And how long did it take from you doing weekends to lead to a full time job then?
Well, I never really had a full time job. What I would do, I did a lot of overnights and I would stay and produce the morning show because I would say, y'all need a producer. You need a producer who can like show you guys like what you're doing because the producer, really kind of maps out the day.
Yeah, and
So
this
I
was
would do I
this
would
was
do
the
overnight.
era. This is the era of Carter and Sanborn.
No, no, no.
No.
Let's go back, Dan.
Oh,
BJ
okay.
in the morning.
Okay.
BJ in the morning. I was
Okay.
the morning show producer. That's when Power had BJ in the morning, Barbara Summers, Fred Buggs, Jeff
Okay.
Wyatt. These are the beginning days of Power 99, and I was there.
That is awesome. So so Power 99 led to DAS?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I really felt I wasn't going anywhere at Power 99. And the great broadcaster E. Stephen Collins used to tease me, why are you over there? You should be a DAS. So I said, introduce me to somebody at DAS. He introduced me to Butterball, and it was like magic from there. I'll tell you a funny story. They didn't really want to hire me at DAS because I didn't sound, I didn't, this is funny. I talked very fast.
Okay.
And they said, "You don't sound black enough," because I didn't have that cool, I smoked a doobie FM sound. I did not have that sound. I was playing Run DMC, and I was just not hyped, but just very peppered. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to hire me. And Butter said, "Look, I'll slow her down, but you got to hear her do commercials." He says, "This girl does the best commercials." And the late Cody Anderson, who just died,
Yeah. Sorry.
said, I talked to him in December, Dan. He said, "I am so proud of you." And I said, "Yeah, because you didn't want to hire me. You thought, that I wasn't black enough, that, I talked too fast." And he says, "Well, I'm glad we hired you because you really just blossomed on this radio station."
We crossed paths with so many great people, and
Yes.
you made me think. Besides Cody Anderson, I
Yeah.
saw your posts about Tony Brown.
Tony Brown, who just died.
I just wanted to tell you my Tony Brown story. So I think it was the mid to late '90s. We're
Mhm.
doing Easter Seals telethon on Channel 3. And I don't know if it was Joyce Evans or somebody came up to us near the phones. We're answering the phones, and
Mhm.
she asked me, like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "How do I feel? I got Tony Brown on one side of me. I don't know who was on the other side, but I'm like, this guy's a legend. I'm a newbie in this town. I'm sitting next to him. He's such a good guy, nice guy, incredible voice, and he
Yeah.
was so nice. That was the only time I met Tony, but
Wow.
he was a great guy, and I always remember that. And yeah, my condolences. I saw your posts.
Yeah, we've had some
Yeah, he
tough
was
losses.
awesome. I mean, Quiet Storm and just that voice could melt
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
So mentioning Tony, mentioning Butterball, if you want to tell me the two or three people that have been really super influential in your career.
Pat Delsey, who took over the ownership of WSSJ. He's now in charge of the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. He was because he really encouraged me and he saw something. He didn't just see a kid. He really saw something in me. Paul Perello, who works for, I know they don't call it shadow traffic, but whoever does,
Yeah,
they do the traffic. Paul Perello, for years, he worked at WWDB. He liked me, he said, because I was from South Philly. And he kind of like took me under his wing, even though I was like very young. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to college, Dan, until I was 30. I came straight out of high school. Of course, Butterball, who was the greatest mentor ever. He taught me when I didn't even realize I was being taught. I do the oldies on Sunday night. And Dan, I heard everything from she's too young, she's a woman. What does she know about oldies? But Butter literally taught me all those years to take over. I did not think I would be the one to take over this show. I too thought a man should take over. But unfortunately, my last conversation with him when he died, before he died, he
yeah,
said, "You must take over the show. You must take over the legacy, the tradition, because it's more than just a show. It's heritage, it's legacy. When you're talking about Motown, Sound of Philadelphia, Memphis, good music. Because today, come on, we don't have a lot of good music. It's our heritage and our legacy. And he said, "You have to keep it going." I got the greatest compliment ever from Harvey Holiday.
yeah,
Harvey Holiday was getting inducted to that Philadelphia Walk of Fame. And Harvey said in his speech, he said, "Patty, I'm Jack Parr." Because he used to do Sunday night back in the day.
yeah,
He said, "Butter was Johnny Carson." He said, "And you are Jimmy Fallon. You will continue the tradition of Sunday night and take it into the future." And I thought that was the greatest compliment. Here he's giving his speech,
yeah.
and he mentions me and the importance of carrying that torch on.
Some people make assumptions and they're not right, And if they just looked back that you played Frank Sinatra and you did that for the hour, and
Yeah.
just to know you, I think if you love music and then just to take your talents from that and doing the country, if you love music, you love music.
You love
You can
music.
learn the things along the way.
Yeah.
As
Hmm.
long as you're a great communicator, and
Yes.
you are a great communicator, you wouldn't be on Philadelphia radio for 36 years on DAS.
39. Yeah,
Or
well, like
39, I'm sorry.
36, but I've
30,
been in market for 39.
yeah.
Guess who I used to love, Dan?
What's that?
Remember Joe Bonadonna at
Yeah.
WMMR?
Yeah.
I loved him
Yeah.
because even though I may not have been into the music, I loved the way he communicated because radio is theater of the mind and you don't see
Absolutely.
us. But if you can reach someone just through your voice,
Yes.
you got them.
You got him. Definitely. So we had this conversation. You told me that you wanted to grow your social media, and you didn't tell me the person. I don't want to know the person's name, but some person said to you, "Oh, Patty, you're never going to be able to do it." And you said, "You know what? I'll show you." And you showed everyone.
I okay, I didn't want to do social media. Radio is so different.
Yes.
You must do social media. Dan, I didn't want to do no social media. I was like, I don't want to do that. And they referred to DAS as old people. Like we were the old people, and you guys aren't going to get it. And something, and there was a girl from Power 99. She says, I'm going to teach you. I will teach you. I will show you. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. And darn Dan, if I didn't take off and everyone's looking at me, the old lady, like, what are you doing?
That's awesome. It feels so good when someone just doesn't think you could do something and then you do it.
Oh God,
And
yes.
and you don't and you're not the type, you don't need to gloat. Like, it is what it is.
No,
Like,
it
see
isn't.
see
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
it. That's it.
It is what it is.
One of the things you do on social media that I see all the time and I think it's very interesting is the anti advice. So tell me, how did this all come about?
Years ago, Dan, got to be careful what you pray for. I used to want to have the wisdom of a Maya Angelou. Did it ever dawn on me that I'd have to go through a lot of stuff to have wisdom?
Yeah.
To have wisdom, you gotta go through stuff. And it's just little nuggets to either brighten your day or to make you laugh or things that make you think. One of my favorite sayings is people who do always upset people who don't.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you're a mirror of what they're not doing. And when you find people, the kids say they hating on me, because you remind them of what they're not doing. So if you are a doer, you will always shake things up because you're constantly making things happen.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And
Hmm.
you just reminded me while you're saying all this, I was going to ask this question. I'm glad you reminded me. What makes you laugh, Patty?
Oh, it makes me laugh a lot. I'm so silly. I love a good joke. I love a good story. There's a lot of things. It doesn't
Do you
people.
think you have a dry sense of humor, or
Oh, I
you like,
do.
yeah,
I do. I do. One thing that I miss about the pandemic, there's no one in our building. And there
yeah,
used to be things in the building and characters that we worked for. And they would be funny. And you could just walk down the hall and be like, you know. So it is. It's kind of like a dry sense of humor, but I do. I love to laugh.
let me throw out a couple of things and you just, top of your head, what comes to mind. Top, I know, long history of being on the air, this might be tough, but top three people that you have interviewed that you thought, I know a lot of things, but then you learned and you thought, wow, you were even more impressed after the interview.
Singer Patty Austin, She Did Baby Come to Me
Yeah.
with James Ingram.
Yeah. Great
I,
song.
I thought I was looking at myself.
Really?
Our
Why?
personalities were so much alike with the
Wow.
laughing, and I just felt that I met this kindred spirit.
Nice.
Denzel Washington. Met him when he was filming Philadelphia in Rittenhouse Square
Yeah.
when they were doing that movie Philadelphia. Um,
And
he
what
was
did
young.
what did it what impressed you even more about him after
That,
the interview? You're like,
all right, he was so stern, right?
really?
Like really stone faced and really like, and then I could make him laugh. Him, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
I said to Lawrence Fishburne, he was in this movie in the early '70s, Cornbread Earl and Me, and Lawrence Fishburne would not crack a smile, like not. And I said, "Who shot Cornbread?" It was a line in the movie, and he kind of looked at me, and then he bust out laughing.
Hmm.
And I said, I got you. Because Lawrence Fishburne walked in like the Matrix, like,
Oh,
let's
jeez.
do this interview. I don't smile. I don't. And I was able to make him smile. John Amos. Remember Good Times?
Yeah, yeah, he's in Coming to America
American
too.
too.
He's how old is John in his
He's
80s?
81.
Yeah.
Dan, he did not understand why we were so excited.
Get out of here.
And I said, because you're like our dad.
Yeah.
You're like our dad. I mean, there was such a buzz and an excitement when he walked, and he was like, "Why are you guys making such a fuss of me?" I said, "Because you're our dad." And then I did my little Florida Evans. Damn, damn, damn.
Wasn't there talk when that he wanted to be he didn't want to do Good Times anymore, right?
He
And they killed
didn't.
off
It
the
was a
character,
very,
and everyone thought you're making a big mistake. And
yeah.
huh? Look at his career.
It was a bitter time between him and Norman Lear because
Yeah.
he didn't like the character and where it was going. Thank God, John Amos, Norman Lear were able to mend that because it was sad. And to be honest with you, the show went downhill when they took the
Oh,
father out
yeah.
of the picture.
Absolutely.
When they just made it silly, but they reconciled, and that was a good thing.
South Philadelphia. Tell me what comes your thoughts.
Wow, South Philly. Hmm. The best food, the best water ice, hoagies, cheesesteaks, fun, sitting out on your porch, knowing your
Do
neighbors,
you want to say, or people might be mad? Do you want to say like the best water ice place, the best uh,
the best water
cheesesteak?
ice place. Well, it used to be John's, but they changed it at 7th and Christian. They did
Okay.
something and they looked at me when I said, what you guys do? Cherry should taste like cherry. Lemon should taste like lemon. Um, Steak sandwiches. I grew up not in South Philly anymore.
Yeah.
Melisandro's got me
Yeah.
on Ridge Avenue in Roxborough.
Yeah. I hear
But
you.
South Philly, just growing up, that whole thing, that's where everything just came together for me. I am a South Philly girl at heart.
So Philadelphia just has that special place in your heart. Been
Hmm.
on so long. Um, Amazing run that you've had and continued success that you have, and so many people. Uh, when did people start calling you the Queen?
A few years ago, it was funny. When we all came into one building,
Yeah.
the kids at Power were so polite. And they would say, Miss Patty, Miss Patty. And I would feel like, you don't have to do that. And it took me a while to realize it was a respect thing. So when
Yeah.
I see the kids from Q102 and Power 99, it's Miss Patty. And I just take it because it's a respect thing.
I appreciate you being on. You are
Thank you.
wonderful. I know you have a very busy schedule, and I wish I was in the building with you.
I know. It's so different now.
But things happen. Middays, Patty Jackson, 105.3 WDAS. If you're not listening, you gotta listen. Patty, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I stopped recording.